Well, let's go live now to Russ Baker. He's editor of the investigative website WhoWhatWhy.com. He's joining us on the line from Massachusetts. In his garden there, by the looks of it. Hello, very good evening, morning, wherever you are. Now, you've been researching how the Syrian conflict is being covered. What do you make of how mainstream media has been handling this? Do you take it at face value or with a pinch of salt?
Well, with not just a pinch of salt, but a whole box of it. One of the things that has struck us at Who, What, Why is the same pattern that we saw with Libya, that a decision had been taken that it was necessary to intervene or invade or whatever you want to call it, and then all the news is fit to match. And so what we see is a whole series of undocumented, unsupported allegations. And in the case of Syria, as in the case of Libya, these are allegations of mass rape and of massacres without carefully trying to establish who exactly did what, who saw what, and so forth.
You know, along the line here, we've witnessed time and time again a lot of foreign media relying on anonymous sources, poor quality pictures shot in indistinguishable locations and broadcast as real. And these things are hard to verify, but until they're verified, should they be used?
Well, I don't think they should be. Now, what you'll see on our website, WhoWhatWhy.com today, is a news story where we take a look at headlines being run on major websites where they basically say that there is mass rape going on in Syria and that the Assad regime is behind it. Now, that doesn't make a lot of sense from a logical standpoint when they're already on the ropes that they would alienate the population that way. But in fact, when we look at the so-called documentation, what we do is we start finding that it's traceable back to several individuals who seem to be Syrian emigres living, very interestingly, in Saudi Arabia. Others in the United States appear to be connected to exactly the people who want to displace Assad.
Russ, we've heard similar claims before, didn't we, when I'm thinking about Libya?
Well, that's right. And as you may know, Who, What, Why was a leader very early on in raising questions about those allegations. There were all kinds of allegations made about Gaddafi. And, you know, with people like Gaddafi and Assad, who are very unpleasant players in some respects, it's not necessary to make things up. Let people judge them as they really are. But what we saw in Libya was we saw a number of things, including a claim that was showing that Gaddafi had personally ordered the bombing of the Lockerbie bombing. From forward, there were allegations that he was ordering his troops to commit mass rapes. That all vanished again, and now exactly the same thing in Syria, where the headlines are saying Assad ordering mass rapes. We have no evidence that he ordered mass rapes or that mass rapes are being committed at all. And so this is very, very serious kind of a propaganda war going on.
Russ, the line's breaking up a little bit. We'll try and stay with it. Hopefully you'll stay with us. Of course, it's not only the media taking this plethora of information at face value. Let's take, for instance, the recent Hama massacre. The US and its allies rushed to condemn Assad for what was reported as civilian massacre before that UN probe was even launched. Why was the investigation disregarded, do you think?
You know, this is very complicated. You see, once the media comes out with an initial report, and those reports are based on the people they're talking to, and essentially they are talking to the rebels, and they are talking to people in Washington and in London who are putting out a particular line against Assad, and so that's where their first stories come from. They always say these are unverified, but that's what the public hears. And then when a week later, as we point out in a recent article, the New York Times reported the most recent massacres in Tremse, blamed the Assad regime, and then a week later said, no, it looks like mostly the Assad regime may have been telling the truth, that was actually an armed battle, but that they were not responsible for the individual massacres that took place in the town. It may well have been the other side.
A final 30 seconds, if you would. What do you make of these chemical weapons claims that are coming out? Are they hype?
Well, I mean, I don't know if they're hype or not. I think that Syria is really doing what you would expect it to do. It's saying we do have chemical weapons. They clearly stated they will not use it on their own people, on civilians, or even on the rebels in their own country. However, they reserve the right to defend themselves if there is an attack from abroad. And I think any country, particularly one like that that's badly outnumbered, it's not surprising that they would say, you know, if you're going to attack us, we're going to defend ourselves however wherever we can.
Russ, thanks for being on RT International. Russ Baker, editor of the investigative website WhoWhatWhy.com. Thank you.
Thank you.